you worked at Microsoft when you were 18 years old. Is that true?
Yeah. That's you got good research. Let my company know that I was leaving and shipped off. I got the job offer at 5 p.m. on Friday, and I was in Taiwan, moved Sunday noon. So I'd never visited.
On that Sunday?
Yeah, I'd never even visited before. If I see a good opportunity, I'm not waiting. I'm diving completely in.
What the The most successful and famous guest I've ever had here in the studio, Clayton Jacobs.
Well, thanks for having me. Is that true? The most famous, most successful?
I guess it depends on how we measure success, but I feel Forbes 30 under 30 being the first foreigner in Taiwan who being on this list, I think you're definitely up there.
The list was a cool thing. It was a nice honor.
Who are you? Where are you from? And what brought you to Taiwan?
I'm Clayton Jacobs. I'm the co-founder and CEO of a company called CreatorDB that was started here in Taipei. I'm American. I'm from Chicago, from a small town close to the city. Been in Asia since I was 19. I left the US to go to Hong Kong for work, actually. And then I moved to Taiwan in 2018. I was giving a speech at the time, and after one of the speeches, I got approached by somebody, ended up introducing me to the CEO of the company that, brought me out to Taiwan. I got the job offer at 5 p.m. on Friday, and I was in Taiwan, moved Sunday noon. So I'd never visited.
On that Sunday?
Yeah, I'd never even visited before.
For real?
For real.
So wait,
I just dove.
Wait, so you got a job offer on Friday?
Yeah, Friday dinner.
And then on Sunday you have you've moved here without ever stepping your foot in Taiwan before?
Yeah, got out of my rental contract, said goodbye to my friends, let my company know that I was leaving, and shipped off.
What the oh wow.
Yeah, so it was like 36, 48 hours. If I see a good opportunity, I'm not waiting. I'm diving completely in.
I did a little bit of research, and if my information is correct, you worked at Microsoft when you were 18 years old. Is that true?
Yeah. That's you got good research. I was not expecting to get a job offer at all. I did the first round of interviewing on my campus, and I just thought I did so poorly. But they ended up asking me to fly out to Seattle 4 to 5 back-to-back interviews. I got a position there as a program manager. And so I worked on a few different things. My main job was working on the operating systems team, a very sort of technical role. While I was there, I also worked on Minecraft for a little bit.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Which is Swedish, by the way.
Swedish born.
Which was Swedish, by the way.
Yeah. I quite enjoyed my time in the sense that it made me know that I didn't want to be at a big company. So
you went from the US to Hong Kong, Shenzhen, and then now you're here in Taiwan. Like how did that journey go?
That company was a startup accelerator. And so they asked me to go over because I had already taken a bit of Chinese in high school as well as in my 1 year of university before I left. I got to see and work with and help so many new companies at the same time. And I think that experience kind of showed me a lot of what was working for people, what wasn't working for people. But I was kind of getting the itch to get back into software. When I was at Microsoft, I didn't really write much code, but I was much more involved on the actual software development process. And so I kind of wanted to get back to building.
The way you're talking, it sounds like, you're a 60-year-old high school professor. You have done so many things, and then just the way that you're like, oh yeah, I wanted to go back to my roots working at Microsoft, and I was tired of that. You're 25 now.
I just had a birthday. I'm 26.
You're potato. All of this was just like 2-3 years then.
Yeah. It was very condensed. Because the startup world is so chaotic. The more that I was in the startup industry, the more I knew I just wanted to be a founder myself. When I went back to building and came to Taiwan, I was working at an artificial intelligence company. Did everything from you can go to Uniqlo and in the dressing room you can wear virtual clothes and try it on, or scan your body for custom tailored clothes, or
oh wow,
insurance systems that made sure that truck drivers were paying attention. I worked there for like 2.5 years here in Taipei. So I founded Creator DB when I was 22, and yeah, that's what I've been working on since then.
I'm just like thinking back, like, you know, when I was 22, like I had just come into Taiwan and I just spent my days like learning like 2 hours of Chinese per day and just like playing video games for the rest of my time. Because
I still do that.
Okay, because I had so much free time to like do nothing.
After like 6 months, I was supposed to go to Tokyo to work on projects there, but I just ended up, staying here. The way it worked out is I wanted to be here. It was fine for the company for me to stay here, but when I was moving to Taiwan, I was actually taking Duolingo Japanese at the time because I thought I was moving to Tokyo. But yeah, no, I ended up liking it here and I got really comfortable here, and I didn't want to go, and I'm glad I didn't.
And speaking about a comfortable life with a lot of free time, one of the reasons for why my life is comfortable with a lot of free time is thanks to the dryer from today's sponsor, ASKO. Right away, it's quite obvious that this is just not your standard dryer, but although it has an absolutely amazing Scandinavian design, the magic is actually happening on the inside of this machine, since this machine has an integrated heat pump, which means that the hot air actually stays inside of this machine at all times, which means that you can actually have this inside of your apartment and not worry about that hot and humid air after the cycle is done. And this also saves up to 69% electricity compared to other machines at the same time. The multi-filter is also not only super effective at sucking up lint to make sure the machine always have a great airflow and efficient drying, it's also super easy to clean after each drying cycle. But I think my absolute favorite feature is the internal soft drum, which will not only reduce the friction on your clothes so your clothes last longer, it will also increase the air gap between the clothes to improve the overall drying. And just like these clothes will be done and dry in any second, ASKO's anniversary sale is also coming up very, very soon. So if you want some more information regarding this dryer or their anniversary sale, please do not forget to check out the link down in the description. But now, as the drying is done, I think it's time for us to head back to the video.
I just feel it would be a lot easier to start up a company that is just not, it's basically based on like, you know, remote working or like the computer and stuff that I don't understand. And there's no like physical like labor, nothing that tells you that you have to be in Taiwan. Wouldn't it be easier to just like go back and just start it up back home in Chicago?
Yeah, probably would have been easier.
Next question.
It was very intentional to stay here and to found the company here. From the very beginning, we have no intentions of leaving. The initial sort of thesis for the whole business was taking a Moneyball style approach. So if you're familiar with the film or the book Moneyball, where it's like a revolution in baseball of how they analyzed players and how they decided who was worth, bringing that same type of mathematics called sabermetrics into the YouTuber, into the influencer world. Kind of a big disconnect is I think a lot of YouTubers, especially independent ones, especially newer ones, don't really know their worth. They don't know what to ask when they're doing brands and sponsorships. I think that's a very common problem. Brands on the other side, they don't really know like, oh, who is worth investing in for us? We're a matchmaker for advertisers and YouTubers.
It's a YouTube Tinder right here, just like swiping left and right. See what matches. How valuable is a like from like my audience?
The way that I would describe it for your viewers right now is that likes and comments are a matter of life and death. And so if they haven't done it already, they must do now. So I want this to be the most liked and most subscribed because I can justify it later and I can tell other creators like, hey, I actually know what I'm talking about.
Would there be any difference of having a startup in Taiwan, in the US, or like, you know, China or Hong Kong?
Yeah, massive differences. When you're building in Taiwan, you have to kind of do it with the understanding that capital is much more difficult to access. So whether it be loans, whether it be angel investments, whether it be venture capital, there's just a much lower level of accessibility here. Their process is much slower. They don't write checks as quickly as American companies. They typically don't value the startup as much. But that also means there's kind of much more of a health check to make sure that the business is legitimate.
Within 3 years now, you've grown to like 40 employees. Being one of the founder, you can kind of like set your own work culture, work environment, I guess. Have you still noticed like a difference working with like Taiwanese? Is that a difference, although it is like your own company and you make the rules basically?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I can kind of be of the mindset of I'm going to force my own rules, or I can adapt to what makes sense for the team. It's kind of a balance between the two of what type of company culture, what type of working culture are we trying to instill, but at the same time, how do we recognize what is sort of standard and expected? You know, if we're hiring an engineer that has 5 to 10 years of experience, they're going to have learned a lot of lessons from their past companies about how to do their job. Keeping that in mind, it still needs to be a balance of the two. In terms of cultural differences, got over a lot of them when I was in China, because I think the cultural shock was much stronger in China than it was coming here. Kind of used to like people staring and the pictures. But one of the things I liked about Taiwan is that I felt like I could actually integrate. I felt like I could have a normal life here. It didn't feel like, you know, people are taking pictures of me on the subway, which would happen when I was visiting Zhengzhou or Wuhan. It's not like they've never seen a foreigner before, but it's definitely much less common than Taipei. Taipei feels much more like an international city to me. That was one of the things that made me a lot more comfortable being here. I do have a funny story of, you know, when I first came here, because in university and then I was in China, so I learned very mainland style Chinese. What I normally did and what I picked up was just calling everybody like, 帅哥美女. And so I did that for 3 months in Taiwan before someone stopped me and looked at me and was like, hey, are you trying to flirt with this person?
Like in China, it's like a greeting, you mean?
It's just a way of like, instead of saying 小姐, you would just say like, 美女.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know, like one of the dojiang places or whatever, be like, like, 不好意思美女. And just as a way to like try to get someone's attention. It took 3 months for somebody to say something. It was one of my old coworkers. They were laughing about it all day.
If foreigners either just, you know, they want to come and like maybe start their own company here in Taiwan, or just like live here long term, you know, anything from like English teachers to any kind of like profession, what are some like advice or things that you wish you would have known before coming to Taiwan?
A big piece of advice, especially for young professionals who are coming here and trying to maybe start a career, I think that the best opportunities in Taiwan are the ones that you create for yourself. Finding a local job here or finding a job with an international company, it comes with a set of limitations that get put on foreigners that it's a little bit harder to kind of break out of that box or climb the corporate ladder in a standard way. I would say you either have to find a very particular opportunity at a company or figure out what making your own opportunity looks like.
Just like this YouTube channel.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that type of thing, whether it can be YouTube channels, it can be businesses, it can be freelancing, it can be consulting, whatever it is. But I think that the best way to really excel here is to be making your own opportunities.
How come you don't have like your own super successful like YouTube channel with just like only sponsored videos and like just taking all your clients for your own videos?
That's something that I've been asked a few times and that people in my company have also wanted to do. I think that's in the horizon for us.
Oh,
maybe not just for me, but maybe as a company, especially, you know, one of the great things is we get to meet a ton of cool, interesting YouTubers. Yeah, we have some stuff in the works.
Please do let me know, and you will have a link to that YouTube channel or YouTube channels down in the description below. Thank you all so much for watching. My name is Lukas. Starts with L as in like, ends with S as in subscribe. Please do both, and see you all in the next one.
I like that. Like and subscribe.
Working with so many YouTubers as you have, is this the best YouTube outro you've ever heard?
It's definitely the most creative. It's definitely the most creative.